This is not a guitar. This is a bass. I am not a bass player. I'm a guitar player who plays bass sometimes. And you can be a guitar player who plays bass sometimes too. It's totally okay. The first rule of being a guitar player who plays bass is you have to remind everyone that you're not actually a bass player. Practice saying something like, I'm not actually a bass player, I'm just a guitar player who plays bass, or I'm not actually a bass player, I'm a guitar player who plays bass. It reminds everyone that you're not actually a bass player. You don't want people thinking you're a bass player. Practice your catchphrase. A key thing to being a guitar player who plays bass is actually having a bass. That's like the first step. So just get one. They all sound the same. They sound like farts. This is an Ibanez sound gear. It's fantastic. It has pickups and an output jack, knobs, and it makes fart sounds. And then I can turn the active EQ to make the fart sounds sound like what I want to sound like, which is farts. You don't need to spend a lot of money. 4-string, 5-string, 6-string, whatever. Get 4 strings. It's easier and smaller. 4 strings. That's all you need. The next way to show that you're a guitar player who happens to play bass is you want to have picks. Bass picks. Okay? They're thicker, they're fatter. Just pick your favorite one. I like the Big Stubby. It's 3 millimeters. Fantastic. There's also this Dunlop 1.14 millimeter. You don't want to be playing with your fingers. That's not right hand finger, no. And strum confidently. Be a little more aggressive, dig in a little more. You want to feel it. You want those farts that come from deep within. So use a pick, play aggressively. Do not slap bass. Not allowed. Don't do it. Don't even try. Don't even think about thinking about trying. Do not slap bass. I will not even show you what that is. Don't Google it. You don't want that in your record. Don't slap bass. People are going to think that's like, oh, is that a bass player? Don't do it. Play the root notes and then lock in to the kick drum. Now it sounds kind of obvious, but you want to listen to the guitar, look at the kick, and match the drummer's foot. People are going to think you're a pretty good bass player, but just remind them, you're not a bass player. You're a guitar player who is playing bass. The next thing you're going to need is a bass amp. So just get any of them. Again, it's going to amplify your farts. If you think about a guitar amp, let's say 30 or 40 watts, you want to add a 0 to the end of it. So times 10. So if you're thinking a 30 watt guitar amp, get a 300 watt bass amp. Again, just get whatever you want. One thing you want to look at is having a DI out on there, XLR, mic connection. In theory, some sound person will be coming to plug in. They can plug right into your head. Let's talk pedals. If you're a guitar player, you want to have guitar pedals. And when you're a guitar player playing bass, that's no exception. You want to make sure you have pedals to help you through your journey. My favorite pedal, as everyone should remember from the previous video, Boss TU2 or TU3, you're gonna wanna be in tune. Again, a great way to separate yourself is to be in tune. And so make sure that you are in tune. A compressor pedal will level out your playing and make you sound closer to being a bass player, but while still being a guitar player. You also want a DI box or a preamp, something. I love my MXR Bass DI Plus. It also has an XLR connection, so they can go right into the board. The sound person will be so excited by your preparedness having such a tool. This has a distortion channel, which also is kind of fun because, again, who doesn't like distortion? You don't necessarily have to have something that's branded a bass pedal. On a compressor, you just want a compressor with a blend knob. That way you can have some of the original bass signal. You're not clipping out the bottom end, so people are like, that sounds really thin. Same thing goes for any kind of distortion. The MXR DI Plus has a blend knob, so you can have that original low end with some extra distortion on top. It makes it sound cool. Do not play chords. You can play octaves, but do not play chords. You're not going to want to be playing chords. It'll sound gross. And don't palm mute. Don't do it. It sounds gross. Won't sound good. Just leave that space blank. Don't palm mute. Don't play chords. If you're a guitar player playing bass, you should get a fresh pack of bass strings. That'll also indicate that you're a big guitar player and not a bass player. Bass strings seem to be more expensive. They're like $20 a pack. You only get 4 strings. I feel like that's unfair, and if you think about maybe the thicknesses, there's no reason why it should be 4 times the price of guitar strings, but they are. Just get one fresh pack, change your strings. They'll make you sound good. If you guys want a video on how to change bass strings, drop a comment asking for the video. Another thing that's helpful too, a lot of basses are active, and for those of you who don't play active guitar, I put a little sticky note on the battery cavity to remind me when the last time I changed a battery, June 2021. What day is it today? Who even knows? But I have that there. And that's it. As a guitar player who happens to play bass sometimes, I find it helps me to get into more groups to play music, gets me more shows. I play a couple shows a year on bass. When I produce records, I play bass on those records. It just makes it easier. So get yourself a bass, Go have fun, make some fart sounds, less fiddling, more playing.